A very good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this urgent cryptocurrency technical analysis. Well, not entirely cryptocurrency related, because in this video I am also going to cover the markets while Bitcoin is seemingly hanging on a thin thread, prone to some more downside price action. What I want to do is essentially dive straight into it. And I want to start off with a small lesson, which is never ignore the technical levels on a chart. Even if you think that price is gonna bust through or gonna bounce from a certain area, always keep in mind when you are doing correct technical analysis, then simply don't just expect that price might just bust through a certain level, whether that is support or resistance. Now, you might ask yourself, what on earth am I talking about? I want to start off with looking at the S&P 500. To be more precise, the futures version of it, which is the ES. The ES or the S&P 500 overall has been doing really well lately, as we've seen a significant rise in price, seemingly making, I think, a lot of people assume that we're heading straight for all-time highs. But as you can already see on this chart, I have one level laid out, which for me personally is pretty much the line in the sand. If we do manage to get above this level and hold, then I do foresee higher prices with really the last stand, obviously the all-time highs, but by then I do think we might see some higher prices. However, for me, this current level, 46.25, has been a really important level, literally for months and months and months. Really, ever since we have broken out of a large sideways pattern that has been respected over time, over here, and then we ranged once again for a long time, 2 months to be exact, around this level before actually breaking through, even gapping up, and ultimately advancing our way towards that final really large resistance area that I was looking for. Now let us zoom out a little bit to the lower time frame, and this is the thing. Today obviously news came out, but in the end, it is the technicals that give us the actual trade setups and that actually allow us to make informed decisions. It's not the news, although they missed expectations wildly today, which definitely helped getting that reaction. But you don't really know when this news pops up. Where exactly do you look for a reaction? That is where technical analysis comes into play, and that is also the reason why you don't necessarily need to watch the news in order to be a successful trader. And this is exactly the proof, because if I'm simply zooming down to a slightly lower time frame, what have we done today? We've crawled up into that level where I told in the tribe today, watch out for this level, this is big resistance. And what happened is we on the lower time frame seemingly reclaiming the level, but as this is such a high time frame level, I class this personally as a region, which is the reason why I still was looking for a reaction even while we are trading momentarily above it. And then ultimately you can now clearly see we definitely did got our rejection. Very technical, broken that local market structure over here, breaking down, backtesting the level, and continuing our drop to the downside. Now that is not the only thing, because the dollar also traded extremely technical, really volatile day on the dollar today, where we overall, I would say we were in a descending triangle overall, really macro time frame pattern, seemingly a fake out to the downside towards that 100 level, giving us that bounce, actually getting back into reclaiming that resistance, where on the lower time frames we ultimately did have a stop, retraced straight into the golden pocket. If you take the Fibonacci level from that latest rise, which brought us out of this range essentially. So the way that I'm looking at it, this is a range, this is where the move started, this is where the first retracement came in, and this is where the last move has been completed. We had a retracement and then tapping that golden pocket in one of the largest markets of the entire world, very, very, very precisely and look at that amazing reaction. Now you might wonder, but hey Mike, your video title says this is gonna be about Bitcoin. Yeah, definitely. However, you do need to be always aware of the larger context, and that is why I do look at traditional markets as well, so that I can make an informed decision. So let's now turn towards Bitcoin, where, well, like I said at the start of the video, it does look like we are hanging on a silver thread here. In my opinion, price action is not looking that great at the moment. And the main reason for that is simply because of the fact that we have now left this range. We have left this range last Monday. Right, we've dropped out of this range, and since then, we're forming something that looks similar to a bear flag. In other words, we are pretty much hanging in the middle of nowhere. So I kept the team updated throughout the week and throughout the day, throughout the videos, where I said, only if we reclaim $29,500 region, right, give or take a few $100s, that is when I would be classing that as a sign of strength. And I have been in the mindset of, okay, I am interested in a potential long, but only on the condition that the chart is actually proving to me that it has the strength to bounce. And thus far, we never really had that. As a matter of fact, we started grinding up in a fairly weak way, right? In a fairly weak way, tapping that, seemingly reclaiming that $29,500 as well, as you can see over here. But if you would have looked at the local price section over here, then this is the following thing that happened. First of all, we had this low marking out the previous resistance of the previous range factually in terms of market structure, right? So let me mark that out as a key level. We also overshot that just a little bit, but if you would pull, not a Fibonacci level, that's not what I wanted to talk about. If you would look at really what has happened locally in the order flow, and that allows me to observe the price action in the moment and ultimately give me that decision of why I am looking for a potential short trade. So we start off with our trading view technical analysis, just basic technical analysis, marking out and market structure resistance as we are coming up into resistance locally. What I also noticed then is, again, being aware of that context where we had during this drop on Monday, right? On Monday, we dropped out of the range. In that process, we are creating a little bit of a gap, of illiquidity, essentially. So in layman terms. So that is what you see in this blue box. And I expected that if we would break out of the local range that was forming at the time, which is this range over here, if we start breaking out of that range, then I foresee a fill of this blue box. That added extra reasons why I would be looking for a rejection there. On top of the overall context that we've left that overall range, we've dropped down, and I would class this simply as a backtest, where I was expecting the shorts that were trading very heavily at the time, wanting to see that being stopped out. This is the proof that you can see that it was basically a short squeeze to the upside, very controlled, and in the process opening up a lots of longs as well. Continuing on, well, pretty much till right now as well, right? So all these factors combined, right? Let's sum them up for a little bit. We have the ES getting rejected today. We have the dollar getting a really bullish reaction off of a very important local technical level. And then on top of that, Bitcoin has been testing simply resistance with added confluence from the order flow. That ultimately allowed me to take a short. I have to admit, it's not per se an easy short, as the reaction was relatively slow, right? So you really need to know what you're doing. But even if you did not short this, you had this retracement, then you had your back test, also very, very technical ultimately, again, because the price action is rather choppy, I'm still, even on the lower time frames now, I'm classing these more as a little bit regions. Maybe not $100 regions, but let's say $40 to $50 regions, right? So for me, I will still class this as a rejection from the golden pockets. And then on top of that, not only a local resistance, but we also have once again this key level coming back into play, backtesting it almost perfectly. So essentially, this was the really aggressive entry, which I personally have taken, did take profits along the way, seeing that rise up to that key level, trading this for a lower high, compounding back onto my short trade, and now remaining alongside a lot of others in the tribe that missed the initial short trade, now also in short trades. And well, let's be honest, hitting that take profit right now. So what am I looking for next? Let me just summarize. So currently, I would say the situation is as follows. Let me just zoom out and try to simplify things a little bit. Let me just simplify the chart over here. We don't need this anymore. At the moment, what is currently going on the Bitcoin chart is simply that we are in a local, well, I would say by now midterm time frame downtrend, where originally we came out of this sideways range, right? Where we came out of this sideways range, where we tapped that $31,000 to $32,000 region, which are also shorted, by the way, but that's not relevant right now. We started dropping from that, establishing that local downtrend within the range, as you can see over here, continuously and consecutively putting in lower lows, lower highs, lower low, lower high, lower low, right? Then we had a little bit of a bounce, again, resulting in a lower high overall, another drop, and then again a lower high, and then ultimately made the move out of the range, where we started crawling up in my opinion, a really weak way, tapping that first resistance, and now getting once again our rejection. So now I want to ask the question to you. What do you think is the most probable to happen? Do you think it is the most probable thing to start longing right now? The situation is we are at the moment currently just hanging in the middle of nowhere. And I will repeat, trading longs here, in my opinion, is more or less similar to gambling. And that is one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video, to just make you a little bit of aware of what, what could happen, because I do care, I don't want you to make big losses. And this is not financial advice, but I do want to heed a little bit of caution. Getting overexcited or remaining greedy when the probabilities are against you is not always the smartest idea. Maybe sometimes you don't want to chase the exact low. Maybe sometimes you do want to just wait a little bit and let the chart first prove to yourself, right, that price actually can muster up the strength to reclaim something. And then you might miss the low, but actually you are trading again with the probabilities in your favor. And at the moment, that is simply not the case. So what do I expect next? Well, first of all, we have this local support level, which is here set at that 28,855. That is the current low of where this retracement started, which is the very first checkpoint. If we start breaking this to the downside, then I would be looking for simply the next key level, which for me comes in at $28,000. So why do I think that? Well, let me just find that piece of analysis over here. Give me a second. This is the old point of control here, right at $28,000, and also backtesting this market structure, which for me really is the first checkpoint should we break this local low to the downside. And that is the place where I would be potentially looking for a bounce to come into play. But again, as we are now embarking on as we're now transitioning from a low-term time frame to a mid-term time frame downtrend, I would be looking to be just a little bit more cautious than I was, let's say, a few weeks ago, before I'm interested on getting really aggressive in terms of position sizings on the longs. However, that doesn't mean that I'm not afraid. That doesn't mean that I'm afraid to take a trade. And that is once again where technical analysis, experience, knowledge of order flow really comes into play. Because in the end, to me, it doesn't really matter whether we're going to go up or down, because I can trade this both ways. I can short, I can long, whenever, wherever I want. Now, the places where I would be looking to do so derives from technical analysis, and that gives me my confidence so that I don't have to be afraid if we are starting to drop heavily. I know exactly the levels where I'm going to be interested in a potential long trade, or if we just for a magically just have an insane pump from here on out, I also know exactly where I would be looking to potentially short up higher up, for example. And that, ladies and gentlemen, for now is my technical analysis. Just wanted to put this video out there. Just to make you aware well, basically now is not necessarily the time to catch your knife. And with this video, I hope that I'm just uploading this just in time so that you don't, get wrecked essentially, and that you keep stay focused, that you have your risk management in check, and essentially knowing when and where to be aggressive is of fundamental importance if you want to trade consistently day in, day out. Then I also, just so you are all aware, currently the memberships in the Tribe community are sold out. They're closed down, they're not open anymore for subscriptions. So just wanted to mention that. The demand has been really high, and I do want to keep the quality of the group extremely high. So for now, I've simply just decided to close them down. You cannot buy memberships anymore until further notice. I will keep you posted. By the way, if you do want to stay up to date, fill in your email address, and we will send you a notification when we expect to reopen again. So basically, just wanted to throw this out there. It's going really well. The demand is really high, and I just simply want to keep the quality extremely high. And that is the reason why we are currently closing down. It is going to be temporarily, but when we are exactly going to open, well, I would say keep an eye on the videos, and I will let you know shortly when that is going to be. Now, with having everything covered by now, we've covered Bitcoin, we've covered the ES, and we've covered the dollar as well, how it all works together. Hopefully this can help you contain your emotions a little bit and keep it focused, be disciplined in your approach, and trade safe, keep your risk management in check, and see you in the next video. Have a great day, everybody.